Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. If you can raise your hand high, you can generally make a loud note on a taiko. But how hard can you not hit the drum? Confused? Interested? Or maybe you just got a few minutes to spare? I'll take it. Come on and we'll talk about fakes. The first fake today is the feint. In martial arts, a feint is a technique designed to cause a reaction from your opponent. Now in Taiko, we don't have an opponent, but we have an audience, and we want a reaction, this time a positive one. Like I said in the introduction, if you can raise your hand high, you can make a loud noise. But Taiko players don't just drop the hands. They pull, they squeeze, they whip. It's not that it's easy to make a loud noise, it's actually hard not to for most Taiko players. So when I raise my hand high, you as the audience expect a loud sound. But what if you don't get one? That's the feint. Let's break the feint down. Normally, a strike from up here uses all the energy I'm generating from my muscles and from gravity, and I'm not just hitting the surface, I'm penetrating a few inches below it. And that penetration causes the sound that you hear. But I can't do that this time because if I do, I'll make a loud sound. And for once, I don't want a loud sound. I also can't slow the strike down because then it's not a feint. If you see this, you expect a loud sound. But if you see this, well, you're not expecting a loud sound. So it's not getting the reaction I want, which is the expectation of a loud sound. So I can't hit through the drum and I can't slow my technique down. The only thing I can change is when I strike the drum. Normally when I play, I'm dropping my weight, I'm pulling down, and I strike around here. I can feel it, my wrist wants to uncoil. I hit, goes through the drum, a little bit of recoil and reset. That's a normal strike, which means I'm opening up here. But what if I open up a little bit higher? Maybe an inch or two higher. That ideally will stop me from penetrating, but the momentum will carry the strike through, and ideally I'm just touching the drum lightly. Okay, it's about right. To practice this, I'm going slower and I'm starting lower because practicing it from here full out will just lead to frustration. It's difficult. So start at a lower level and not as fast. And then as you get more comfortable, as you get more consistent, start adding speed and height. Until you are back to your original position. Nope. Almost. There we go. Realize that I'm not trying to make the quietest note possible. I'm trying to make as big of a difference as I can between this sound and this sound. That was pretty decent, and that's fine by me. The next fake is the surprise. And the surprise happens when you have a relatively small amount of distance between the bachi and the drum, yet you're still able to produce a good amount of sound. I'm not trying to make the same volume as if I was up here. I'm just trying to make a loud sound so that this volume is the equivalent to what my normal volume might be somewhere in the middle. The surprise is done the same way a snap is done. If you can snap, go ahead and do a few. Before you snap, you don't squeeze the fingers together, right? There's no tension there, it's relaxed. Then you snap, and in that moment, tension comes and goes. When you're done, you're not squeezing the fingers together, or you know you're relaxed. Relaxed, moment happens, relaxed. Same thing with the surprise. Relaxed, moment happens, relaxed. If you can master that timing, you could do the surprise. That's all fine and good, but how do you make the surprise happen? If you've been watching and not focusing on the bachi, you may have noticed what my body is doing, or what at least it looks like it's doing. I am trying to do everything I can to generate force downwards in that much time. There's this motion, right? This is taking me closer to the drum, so I like that. Then there's the squeeze, which takes me closer to the drum. I definitely like that. I'm also using a bit of a punch. So my elbow is moving towards the drum, right? That's good, I like that. I also realized I'm using a little bit of a turn, just a little bit. I'm not trying to hit with my wrist turned over. But if you notice, there's the tip of the bachi. As I rotate, it starts to move towards the drum. I'm not rotating a lot, but anything towards the drum is good, so I'll take it. I'm also dropping. And as you can tell, as I drop, oh, that's getting closer, I'll take it. And I'm pushing off my back leg. Now, pushing off doesn't seem like a lot, but if I keep pushing, oh, look, it's getting closer. So I'll take it. Everything I can do to make the bachi get closer, I'm gonna do. And to do this, I have to compress so many muscles or expand them. I'm compressing a lot here. I'm compressing a lot on the arm and shoulder to make it go down. I'm expanding from the leg, compressing on the other leg. So everything is either opening and closing in that much time. And it's not easy. It's a difficult thing to master. But to be able to go from this to this, it feels really good. But how do you do the surprise? Start with a hitchhiking thumb. That's the distance you want to start, more or less. But it's important that it's parallel to the drum head. You don't want to lift the tip up, because once you start doing this, you've got your regular strike, and we're not practicing that. Start at parallel. Another reason you want to start at parallel is because you can't squeeze it. You can't rely on the squeeze here. The only way the bachi is going to come up for you to squeeze is if you push the wrist down, and that's the key. If this comes down, you can squeeze. If the wrist doesn't come down, you don't have it. So that's a good test of, can you push the wrist down to get the tip up, or are you just lifting the tip up first? Start with a nice parallel, and then don't worry about speed, don't worry about power, just drop. Just feel it go to the drum. If I'm not worried about power, I'm not going to try to cheat, in other words. Just dropping. I'm letting my body move, letting my legs move. That's the start. Once you have this framework, now you can start thinking about this push or this pull, depending on which way you want to go. Okay, I'm not squeezing quickly enough, which is why I'm going flat. That's okay. It's still not this. We want to avoid this. Push and squeeze, while dropping, while pushing, while doing whatever it feels like will help you get into the drum. And then eventually you start getting faster, more snap. And it's okay to wind up in a weird position, because this is not something you're going to do on stage. You're not going to stand there and just hit one. So as a practice, as an isolated drill, you might wind up in a weird position. That's okay. It means you're compressing, you're practicing. So relaxed, squeeze, relax, squeeze, and then reset. Just keep doing it. Don't worry about what it looks like. Worry about what it feels like. Eventually, you want to get to the point where the tip of the bachi is closer and closer to the drum. Because what you'll realize if you practice, it's not so much about how high the tip is, it's how high your hand is. Because if my hand is here, this is generating the momentum that starts everything. Not this. This is part of it. So it's easier to do it here, but it's possible doing it here. it's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as loud, but you can still feel that same feeling. Let me give you a couple of practical examples for when or why you'd want to use one of these fakes. The feint is really good for when you're not really sure what the tempo is, like you've lost track of the downbeat, and for whatever reason you can't visually confirm it. So if your group is playing a pattern and you're playing a pattern, maybe you don't want to play it, or maybe you want to slow down, look around, but that's a surefire way of having the audience go, huh, I wonder what's wrong with them. I'm going to watch them now. And that's the last thing you want. Not only is it embarrassing, but now you're distracting from the song. So instead, you can use the feint. Okay, well, I'm not going to actually hit that note, or maybe lightly, but it's not going to visually distract from what's going on stage. As for the surprise, I can't tell you the amount of times I've been soloing when my brain says, hey, you should play this note right now. And I'm thinking, but I'm not in a position to play. Oh, I guess I am, because the surprise enables that to happen. And usually it sounds good. I trust my brain. It also happens sometimes when I'm not even on the drum that I wind up playing. It's maybe off to the side, but it's the same mechanics of the surprise that we learned on one drum. It can be surprising how effective the surprise comes in handy. And let me end with this. As taiko players, we tend to have a default mindset. A note in this range tends to be quiet. In this range tends to be medium. In this range tends to be loud. But what if a note here can be quiet or medium? And anything above this range can be any volume I want. That blew my mind when I came to that realization. And that came with so much freedom. I can have my hand out here and play quietly. I can play here and be really loud, well, relatively loud. Huge amount of my confidence came with the skill to be able to play whatever volume I wanted, regardless of how far away or how close my hand was to the drum. These drills were a little more challenging than some that I've done in the past, but that's okay. It's nice to have a range, right? I hope you at least found them entertaining. Let me know if you liked it by giving me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Don't fake, actually click on the button. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.